Got a Dodge here. Apparently, this thing's gotten 3 coils on 1 cylinder, so we're just gonna get in here. I haven't even looked at it, haven't hooked a scan tool up to it, nothing. We're gonna clear flood it. All right. Wonder if we can hear it better in the shop. All right. Looks like a 2011 Ram 1500 4-wheel drive, 5.7, 112,000. And let's see what we got. Alright, a 2302 secondary circuit on ignition coil 1, 25 amp from the ASD relay. It's going to power up all of our coils, and then our PCM is going to control the ground side. So we're after number 1. I can't read that. What is that? Dark blue, dark green, and a brown white. So brown white is our power feed. Alright, quick observations. Dirty. Corrosion. Not loose, not loose. Open harness. Okay, just want to make sure this was laying here. And we got a new connector on number 1 ignition coil, it looks like. And yeah, so just some quick observations. Let's take a look at this throttle body condition. Yeah, we can clean that for him. Alright. Alright, so we're in the firing order and the cylinder identification for this 5.7 Hemi. And you can see cylinder 1 is on the driver's side, in the very front. Okay. Does not have a new connector. I looked at it. That is the OEM connector. We're still going to check it. This one has got the new ignition coil on it, and that's cylinder 2. Okay. Let's see. Test light hooked to be positive. Key is off. And if I go in the control wire on this coil, what in the... What's that noise? It's not the throttle body. Let's go on the ASD relay power feed side. Monday's gonna be interesting. Okay, we're on this Ram. I'm gonna check this ignition coil for the number 1. I've got 2 gap testers on it because it's got that dual spark plug setup on the secondary side. Both gapped at 30 kV of a gap, okay? And then hooked to battery negative. I've got my test light hooked to battery negative as well, and I'm in the control wire, pierced into the control wire for this primary side on this ignition coil. Alright, start it up. Okay, control is there, obviously, and look, we're getting a pretty good spark there. Took our test light, took the ground, and checked for secondary leaks around the boots. Oh yeah, she's got good spark. Alright. That all looks good. Okay, so before this, off camera, I got some captures, okay? And all I had was one channel hooked into that control wire, which is that blue wire, okay, on this ignition coil. And then the other one is for the power feed, which comes from the ASD relay. Now, I'm going to explain that here in a second, but what was I going to say? So I compared, got my control side waveform, which would be the green trace, and then the yellow trace is amperage, and I use my amp clamp just wrapped right around it, right around the blue wire, right? Low amp 20, 100 millivolts per amp. And then you can see all this turbulence in here, and the burn time, I guess you would consider that the burn time of the spark plug, right? So let's look at cylinder 2, because 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7, right? On this 5.7 Hemi. See the difference? No turbulence. Okay? So we check secondary, we check primary. It's throwing that 2302 code for improper ionization on cylinder 1. What we're going to do is we're going to pull both spark plugs out and do a visual inspection on them. Okay? We could be dealing with a bad spark plug. We could be dealing with a possible injector issue or a valve issue. But this is the route I'm taking. Alright, so it's got some nice new champions in it, which is what I expected. And they look gapped right, so I ain't worried about that. Let me pull another one out. Alright, that one don't look too bad either. Well, since I got that one out of the hole, I might as well do an in-cylinder. So I've got my 0 to 500 snappy one on there. The gutted compression hose, guys. A 25 amp fuse right there is what I'm after, and that is the power feed for all the injectors and all the ignition coils. So okay, right there next to the ASD relay. Alright, so I disconnect that. Let's put this on, what do we got on, a 5 millisecond? That'll probably be sufficient. We're gonna have to put a battery charger on this, or tender rather. Let me do that. Well, before I do that, take a quick look at this waveform. I don't see anything that stands out to me. What do we got? Cursor 2 there is on that compression spike there, and we're getting 166 psi. Okay, so it's not that, in my opinion, it's nothing to do with mechanical issues in the hole. Alright, since I'm at this point, now cylinder 2's got a new ignition coil on it. So are we dealing with just a bad ignition coil that literally they replaced the wrong one and they put it on cylinder 2 thinking that was cylinder 1 because they didn't look up their firing order and cylinder identification? So that's an original coil. This is the one that has the odd secondary pattern. Okay, we looked at the plugs look fine, visually. We've checked primary on both the coils, but that secondary waveform looked odd on this coil. So we're gonna move it. We're gonna put the good coil on the other side and see if our pattern moves with the ignition coil, okay? Okay, so I just popped it down in the hole. Now, I'm already pierced into the control wire for this ignition coil on number 2. So let me get a trace going to this. We'll put our yellow trace to the control on cylinder 2, okay? Alright, so my yellow trace, I've still got the transducer hooked up, but one end of my yellow trace has got to go down to the coil. So let's go ahead and do that. The other end, of course, has to go in my lab scope into our yellow channel, or channel 1, channel A, whatever you want to call it. And here's our ground. We're not going to put that in here. We're going to use my jumper, this guy right here, because we're going to be stacking leads. Yellow to jumper, jumper to scan tool. Now let's get our green trace on ignition coil 1's control. Okay, so our green to green here. Doesn't matter, you can use any color in any hole, but I'm keeping it simple. We'll hook our ground for that test lead to our jumper. And the reason for that, guys, is so you're not stacking super high on your scan tool scope, okay? 15-foot test leads, AES wave, about 55 bucks a pop, custom, shielded and grounded both sides. So now we'll hook both the, we've got one going down to ignition coil 2 control, and then its ground on this side is going to just tie together with the ground on the green side, which will go to battery ground, right? And then our other end of our green trace is going to go down to the control wire for ignition 1. And since we're doing this, I'm going to show you how to use the amp clamp in case some of you don't know. So we'll stack the amp clamp ground to our pigtail, and then we'll go amp clamp to blue trace, and we'll go ahead and wrap that around ignition coil 1, see if it's changed, and we'll compare that to our one from cylinder 2 before. You can wrap it around any wire. You can always invert it, guys. Power over the ground side, but I'm going to go around the control just like that. Alright, so volts DC on all 3 channels. Let's see that amp clamp. Hopefully my battery ain't going dead. It might be getting there. 2 volt scale. I'll leave it filtered. 5 millisecond screen, 20 volt, 20 volt. These need to go up. We'll put them to 100 volt. So we're doing ignition control. Should be good. Let's start it. Probably would help if I put my ASD relay back in. Or not relay, but fuse rather. Let's see here. Okay, let's try that again. Alright. Let's see what we're getting. Stop. Zoom. Let's see. Let's take a look at the yellow is to cylinder 2. So I guess go to that one first. That's the bad, quote unquote, the coil where that's in question. And yep. That's that. You know what that is? That's that multi-strike. That right there is that multi-strike, what am I trying to say? Multi-strike coil. Because, it's got the two spark plugs. So I wonder if that's what we're seeing there. I'm going to come back out. Let's take a look at one of the blue ones. Blue trace is going to be amperage for cylinder 1. We're gonna have to invert that. Hold on. Invert it. Let's get a good capture here. Stop. Zoom. There we go. take a look at the primary here on. What in the world is that all about? What is going on there? Definitely different, because if we look, here's cylinder 1, that's with that other coil, the one that came from cylinder 2. And then that's cylinder 2's, which to me looks good. The tail end there. We go over to cylinder 1. The tail end's there, but look at that high. I wonder if we get an injector problem. Let's take a look at this on a snap. Hey Ralph,
Yeah.
can you snap throttle this for me?
Do what?
Snap throttle this?
Okay.
Like wide open throttle, just snap. A good snap.
Down and up.
Yep, but hold on a second.
Okay.
A wide open snap throttle, okay?
So always deploy the left right away.
Yep. Again? Let's take a look at that. Look at the turbulence in our yellow versus our... Okay. Something funky is going on here. So let's try. Let's look at that amperage again. I'm gonna actually. It looked funny on this side. Let's look at it on this side once. All right, we're gonna go around number 2's control wire, the amp clamp. See what it does. Let's turn our channel back on. I've got current flowing right now. Is that my amp clamp doing that? Sure is. Look at that. Look at what it's doing. What is that all about? Well, I'm a fool. I didn't have my ground hooked up for my amp clamp. No wonder it was looking like that. I was like sitting there, I'm like, what? Let me hook it back up to number 1. Alright, let's see what we get on this. I gotta invert again, hold on. number one. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty damn good. We dealing with an injection problem. Take a quick look here at some trims with it idling. See we're negative on bank 1. That's short term. Short term on bank 2. Did I not grab short term on bank 2? I thought I did. Hold on, let me get that. Not sure how I missed short term on bank 2, but I did. Okay, let's look at that again. So we're at 195 degrees. Our long term's at 6.6 on both banks, and it looks like bank 2. I guess those short terms, they don't look that bad. .8 on our mass air. Well, it doesn't have a mass airflow. 10 inches of vacuum on our map. Just kind of taking a peek at the pulse widths. Oxygen sensors, upstream, .255 to about 3.38, so let's see, 14 psi on our barrel. I've got amp clamp round number 1 injector, and I've got green trace going to its control. So let's see here. Let's turn our amp clamp on, turn off our yellow trace. Go to 50 volt maybe on the injector. Probably. Yeah, that should do it. Let's take a look at that one, see what it looks like. Not much for amperage there, is there? Oh, I suppose it's pulling about an amp. Let me bring this down to 1 volt. There. That'll give us a little bit better amperage waveform, hopefully. Let's see what that looks like. And I forgot to invert it. There. So we're on 100 volt scale on our injector control, 500 millivolt scale on our low amp clamp, and the blue trace we're inverted on a 2 millisecond screen. Did you get all that? Alright, let's take a look at it. Full temp, injector number 1. Pulling for amperage on that injector. It's got a restricted injector, maybe? Not much of an opening. Let's see if I can clean that up. Put a filter on that. Yeah, we'll leave that at 100 volts. Stop. Alright, let's take a look at her now. Should be a little bit cleaner on that amperage. Yeah, that's a little better. Bring her out. Alright, so there's cylinder 1. Cylinder 1 zoomed out to, well, let's say 4. Alright. File. Save all frames. Well, here, what are we doing? Oh yeah, I suppose we're gonna have to switch over to the other one. So, save all frames. This is, no. This is injector. Injector 1 at idle. Save. Okay, let's get injector 2. Alright, we're on injector 2. Control is yellow. Blue is its amperage. And I gotta invert. Zoom. Alright, so there's injector 2. Take a look at that amperage waveform. Let's file, save all frames. No, I do not. This is injector 2 at idle. Save. Okay. Okay. Alright. Let's go back to home. Let's go to data. And let's pull up injector 1. Have to zoom back out. I think 4 was the magic number, so zoom out. This is shop stream viewer, file viewer. We're going to zoom into 4. Okay. Bring it over a little bit. Alright, there's our waveform on injector 1. Alright, let's pull up injector 2. Minimize that. Injector 2 at idle. Zoom that out. Put our dotted line right on where we want to zoom. Come into 4. Let's see here. Let's try to see if I can get the waveform a little bit straighter. There we go. Alright. Compare that to the good. The other one. So look at that amperage waveform on that injector. That's off 1. Let's look at number 2. You can see that little bow there. You can see the little bow there. Kind of looking at the pintle hump here now. Definitely different. And what are we pulling for amps on this one? This is our good. This would be cylinder 2. Well, better. It's not the one throwing codes. Let's see, what do we got there in cursor 2? 93.9 millivolts. So that's about just under an amp. Okay, let's look at the other one. And this one's pulling more than an amp. And I don't like that. Look at that. Let's go back to the other one. Look at that one. zoom in on that once. Let's come into 2. Okay, that's where the injector is being turned on. This is cylinder 2, the good one. Let's go to the other one. And zoom in on him. Alright, let's take a look at that and compare it. I guess there ain't much of a difference there. I'm gonna ohm these. Let's see, can I do an injector balance on one of these fellers? Functionals. That's right, we can do injector control. We can cut them down, but I don't think we can do a drop. Toggle at once. Conditions not correct. Oh, okay, that's to test the... Got it. Miscellaneous functions. Okay. System tests. Injector kill test. Which cylinder is misfiring? Yeah, tell me. Is there any misfiring right now?